Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. It is time for Pet Parade. This little fella is Atticus. He is about a year and a half old. He has beautiful, beautiful eyes. He doesn't like me very much. He likes his people, who is my daughter. But he's very cute. He's very sweet. He's a long hair. We rescued him. He has one paw that's a little gimped up. And so between Jerry with his 3 paws and Atticus with his gimped up paw, they make, come here little fella, they make the perfect team, okay? So this is little Atticus. He's about, not quite a year and a half old, I guess, by now. He's very, very sweet. You see him sometimes sitting on the top of the couch behind me, sleeping, because that's what he most likes to do. Down you get, buddy. Okay, we're going to do the dogs. Oh my God. Okay, this is Skittles. Skittles and his sister Tika are about 12 years old. Yes, you are. And they're very, very close. They're very tightly bonded. Yes, you are. And Skittles' shirt that he's wearing says, "I don't need your attitude. I have one of my own." And that really, really does explain Skittles. Okay. And here comes his sister Tika. And her, oops, come here, baby. Her shirt says, what? "I smile with my tail." You know, she's a little bit more timid than her brother, but honestly, she's much yappier. And there we go. Relax, little one. And like I said, they're very, very close. They're about 12 years old. They've been with us a long time. My kids were pretty young when they came into our worlds. Yeah, you're getting older, aren't you, girl? All right, down you get. Okay, here comes the cranky one. Now, when we did the last video pet parade, which was in the summer, we actually, come here, baby. Oh, no. We actually didn't think that Crystal was going to be, hey. We didn't think Crystal was going to be around for the fall. She's 15 or 16, I guess. You're right on the microphone. You're going to get everybody's dogs and cats howling. She's getting frail. She's getting old. But she just does not appear to want to leave my daughter, who is her people. Yeah. Okay, you go back to your people. Okay. She spends most of her time in my daughter's room. As the years have gone by, she's gotten less and less sociable. And finally, the rock star. Here comes Jerry. Now, we just dragged Jerry in from outside. He might look a little scruffy. It's very windy here today, and he doesn't like the wind, but he was determined to get outside. So he went outside, and then he came back in the house covered in leaves and twigs and sticks because he doesn't actually like the wind. And so then once he got out there, he had to find somewhere to hide. Isn't that right, little boy? Jerry's the rock star. He is 6 years old. He is part Maine Coon. He has 3 legs. Him and Atticus are both rescues, and Crystal was a farm cat. So we've had these lovelies in our lives for a long time, and they fill up our home and they make it a happy place, don't you? Do you want to say hi to all your fans? Yeah. Who's the rock star? Who's the rock star? Okay, there we go. Bye, buddy. Okay. He's going to need a brushing and a bath, I think. Okay, so there's a couple things that I just want to touch base with today. We're going to do pendulum, we're going to do cards, and we're going to be looking, of course, at Trump this week. So starting from the 10th of October, so Sunday the 10th to, I guess that would be the 17th or the 16th until the Saturday. But before I do that, I just want to do a couple of quick questions with my pendulum. So for those of you who are new, and by the way, welcome, welcome, welcome to Soulprint. Thank you so much for being here and spending some time with the Soulprint community. I'm really loving that and appreciating it, and I'm grateful for all of the support that both of my channels get. So for those of you who are new to my channel or maybe haven't heard this explanation before, pendulums move with the energy of like my body, okay? And while my hand does not purposely make the pendulum move, because of the vibrational energy that is moving through my hand into the pendulum, it very often looks as if my hand is shaking, especially with this one because it's short. You know, the longer the chain, the more momentum it might have. It takes longer for a pendulum to start moving and swinging. I use this one specifically for these readings because it answers quickly and sort of definitively, if you will. So this pendulum, when it is ready to start answering questions, it goes back and forth, as you can see. When it wants to give me a yes answer, it goes back and forth. And no goes round and round. And you can literally see, if you watch the pendulum, you can see how it sort of shifts directions kind of on its own, right? That is the energy that is in the pendulum. And I also want to say that, you know, there are times that I get an answer from a pendulum that it doesn't make logical sense, but yet the pendulum is really consistent or insistent that this is the answer it's going to give me. And a perfect case of that is Mitch McConnell, okay? Mitch McConnell of Kentucky. I have been asking this pendulum for months and months and months if Mitch McConnell is going to hold on to his Senate seat in Kentucky. Is he, pendulum? And you can see the answer is no. Is Amy McGrath going to take that seat? And the answer is yes. Now, I'm sure for all of you watching, that's like fabulous news. It doesn't make sense because Mitch McConnell is right now is about 20 points ahead of Amy McGrath. So how does that make sense? This thing is consistent. Now, honestly, it could be consistently wrong, except this pendulum has an interesting way of being consistently more right than wrong. What's even more fascinating is some of my viewers out there who have pendulums ask the questions sort of as I do. And they consistently get pretty much the same answers. And so it's kind of just a little bit confusing, but the pendulum says what the pendulum says. So because I kept getting these answers and because it doesn't make sense, I've sort of asked the pendulum a couple more questions. So one of the questions I've asked the pendulum, and you can see very often the pendulum will start moving before I've even asked the question, and that in part is because the pendulum is responding to my energy. It sort of almost like reads my mind. Okay, could you stop so people believe this? Thank you. Wow, puppies have a lot to say. Okay, is Mitch McConnell likely to get sick before the election? And I'm not wishing ill health or anything on anybody. But again, this becomes a consistent answer, yes. So I think, I mean, if I had to make a guess, if something happened to him and people who were going to vote for him can't vote for him for whatever reason, you can see where Amy McGrath would pick that race up. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, but it sure is consistent. Okay. A couple more. Is Lindsey Graham going to hold his seat? No. Is Jamie Harrison going to win that Senate seat? Yes. Let's do it this way. I'm trying to remember all of the sort of swing states, if you will. So let's just kind of see. Is Biden going to carry Wisconsin? Yes. Is Biden going to carry Iowa? No. Is Biden going to carry or win Ohio? Yes. Is Biden going to win or carry Florida? Yes. Nevada for Biden, is that a win? Yeah. Florida. Did I ask Florida? Okay, well, it's yes. So if I asked it twice, sorry. So there's that. Okay, let's ask a few of the regular ones that we always ask just for reassurance, all right? Is Trump going to win the election in 2020? Is he going to win? No, he's not. Is Biden going to take the presidency in the 2020 election? Yes. Is Biden going to be sworn in as president January 2021? I believe it's the 20th. Yes, he is. Is there going to be a great deal or a lot of civil unrest as the results become known? No, and again, I consistently get this answer, and it could be the phrasing I'm using, because I'm not saying, is there going to be any? I'm saying, is there going to be a lot? You know, is there really something that we need to be concerned and worry about? It just doesn't look it. Within 24 hours of the polls closing, are we going to stop, please? Within 24 hours of the polls closing, are we going to have a pretty clear idea of who the winner is? Yeah. And part of the reason, I think I've mentioned this sort of in some of my private readings to people who have asked, when I try to see sort of the electoral map, the map of the United States for election day and the days after that, the whole eastern seaboard and the whole western seaboard and kind of a chunk of the bottom, like Texas area, it's all blue. It's all blue. Now, I'm not saying a blanket. There's like little pockets, but so I guess my point, I guess what the pendulum's telling us is, listen, if all of those real eastern states predominantly go blue, you're going to have your answer in terms of, you know, what that's looking like for the final result. Is Amy Coney Barrett going to be approved to go to the Supreme Court? Is she going to be a new justice? And that's a no. And again, that's another one that doesn't make sense, right? Because Mr. McConnell has the power to shove her right in there, whether anybody objects or not. Is there going to be a stimulus package sorted out between now and the election? Okay, that's a yes. So that's like super good news. Is that money going to get into the hands of people before the end of October? I imagine. Okay, so not in October. Is that money going to start flowing in November? Yes. You know, so I'm thinking that it's going to go through, and probably just the distribution is going to take a little bit of time to get that sorted out. And my final question is the Affordable Care Act going to be struck down in the courts? And that is a no. So there you have that. All right. Thank you, Pendulum. Let's take a look at the cards and see what they have to say. We're going to take a look at Trump this week and see what he's up to and see what's going on there. The other question that I'm not going to pull the pendulum back out, but one of the other questions I've asked the pendulum is, the pendulum is telling me that Trump actually is quite recovered from COVID. Hold on. In terms of him being contagious, it doesn't appear that he is. But my pendulum consistently tells me that there's going to be some ill health that he has to deal with. And whether this is sort of damage to some of the organs, but it feels as if somewhere right around the time of the election, Trump is going to experience some sort of a relapse or ill health, or perhaps complications with one of his organs. And it's interesting because I'm wondering if that is not part of the reason that we keep, a lot of readers can't see Trump in the White House in November. And I'm wondering actually if he gets sick. And again, I am not wishing ill health on anybody, even Trump. That's like karma inducing, and we're not going to go there. So that's just really, really kind of interesting, and that could explain how come Pence ends up being, acting president until the inauguration. I don't know. It's just kind of curious. So let's take a look at Trump and how he's doing. I can tell you that as I step into his energy, it is lethargic. I'm really tired. My head feels a little sort of confused. There's a lot of volatility of emotions, but there's also just sort of a sense of exhaustion. Now, are we going to see that publicly? No, because he's going to absolutely, do whatever he can to minimize him looking like that, right? But I think that there's going to, and again, with Trump, it's very possible that you could see sort of that, the oopses, right? The stumbling, the not being able to drink water, whatever it is, right? You might see some telltale signs of a problem. Okay. And let's just take a look. Come on down. I have a question. Oops. Okay, here we go. So, Trump this week, Trump this week, Trump this week. So I'm getting energetically, I'm getting low energy. And a little bit of confusion, and frankly, a fair bit of anger. Okay, so here we go. Let's start here. Trump is doing everything in his power to work with donors, try to secure what he can secure financially. He's very focused on quid pro quo kind of deals. Okay, so whether he's looking at the donors and he's trying to promise them stuff, whether you're talking about foreign actors, but there's definitely a sense that he's sort of like negotiating almost with people in terms of trying to create a little bit more fundraising and money pouring into the coffers. I've said this before. Trump's re-election campaign has very, very little money in comparison to Biden's. You're also seeing down ballot that they're like Lindsey Graham. I mean, Jamie Harrison is like annihilating him in terms of donations, like crazy. Like the last numbers I heard was, I think Lindsey Graham is like at 14 million and Jamie Harrison is at like 54 million. It's like crazy. So it feels like there's a kind of a lot of that going on. They just don't have the money. And that is going to impact their ability to kind of continue to push their message and their agenda out there. So that's going on. They're also going to have a really hard time consistently finding a message that resonates, okay? Now, I don't know if any of you's heard. I thought this was, I mean, honestly, it did make me chuckle, I have to say. Over the weekend, the Taliban, yes, indeed, the Taliban endorsed Trump for president. Now, the Trump campaign was at least smart enough to sort of kick back on that and say they didn't need or require the Taliban's support. The Taliban issued a statement that basically said, we understand that for many, many people, Trump is ridiculous. But for the Taliban, he's very, very good. And that's why we want him to be president. Kind of tells you all you need to know, doesn't it? So they're going to have a hard time getting their message out. There's going to be problems with money. Now, this is interesting because you have both the 9 and the 10 of wands back to back, side by side. So a couple of things. Trump is starting to realize that he is really sort of in a corner, and he honestly, I don't think he knows how to get out of that corner. But not only that, that's not the only thing he's dealing with. The other thing he's dealing with is the fact that Republicans are getting really tired of sort of carrying water for this guy because they're recognizing every single day more and more that he is actually destroying their reelection chances. I mean, there are places that are red that have no business being competitive, but they are. They just are. How is it, that Texas is a competitive race? But there's definitely concern in Texas for the people who are up for re-election about whether they're actually going to be able to hold that seat. So what he's getting behind the scenes is a lot of people sort of quietly complaining and saying, listen, get it together. You are destroying us. We're not going to get, we're not going to be able to get reelected. The problem is Trump doesn't care. He just doesn't care as long as he gets reelected. And that's sort of course, not looking like a real strong possibility with Biden running ahead 10, 11, 12, 14 points. I don't know how Trump thinks he's going to make that up, even with a stimulus package, okay? Even with it. And don't forget, millions of people have already voted. Early voting has started and millions of people have already voted. Oh, that reminds me, one of the other questions that I asked the Pendulum before I started this video was whether or not, in those places like Texas, where the governors have pulled back and have, like one drop-off box per county, if that's going to stand or if that's going to end up getting reversed by the courts. And I got a very strong yes on that. So whatever shenanigans are going on, it looks like the courts are at least pushing back. So that's like good news because what they're doing is such a blatant manipulation of the election results. It's head scratching. It just makes you shake your head and wonder what the heck is going on. Privately, Trump, behind the scenes, he's not getting a lot of sleep. So anticipate a lot more 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning tweet storms. Okay. As the news continues to get bad, he is wreaking havoc. I have to tell you, he is absolutely wreaking havoc in the White House. His staff, doesn't know what to do with him. A lot of them, frankly, are afraid to be around him because he doesn't care about their own health. He's volatile, he's angry, and they don't know what to do with him because literally kind of nothing they do calms him down or makes him happy. Emotionally, this guy is in a mess, okay? He's not able to hang on to his thoughts. He's rambling. He's all over the place. He's a little bit delusional. He does things that don't make any sense, frankly, even to him in hindsight. But in the moment, that's what he wants to do and say, and there are no more guardrails around him kind of protecting him from his own worst instincts, because everybody has said, listen, I don't need to deal with this screaming madman. And so we're going to let Trump be Trump. And that doesn't work. You know, it might have worked in 2016 when he was sort of a bit more of an unknown. Um, and people were maybe looking for things to get shaken up. They didn't like Hillary. And his outrageousness in some crazy way was almost part of what attracted people to vote for him. But I want you to remember this, and remember it clearly. It wasn't that people loved Donald Trump. That wasn't why he won the election. He won the election because, unfortunately, Hillary was sort of unpalatable, and a lot of people, like a lot of Democrats, just didn't vote. But more, I think a lot of people didn't vote because, frankly, both choices were not to their liking. That's not going to be repeated this year. People have had 4 years of the Trump insanity and the Trump chaos, and Joe Biden is like this calm oasis in a storm. And so even if they don't love Joe Biden, even if they don't love some of the policies, he's calm. And Trump does not have not one way, to make himself appear calm and for the people. So there you have that. Trump very much understands at this point that despite all of the election interference, despite whatever it is that Russia and whoever else is doing, he on some level understands that the vote is really going to be what turns his wish upside down. And the world is watching. And the world is doing everything that they can without interfering, okay? They're watching sort of to ensure that this is not a repeat, the next 4 years are not a repeat of the last 4, okay? And so he's kind of, again, aware of the fact that even the world doesn't want him in office. I mean, there are a few, okay, Netanyahu, I'm sure, would be delighted. Putin would probably be thrilled. Although I gotta tell you, I'm not even convinced that Putin's all that thrilled. Because Trump is so brash and so in your face. And Putin prefers things to sort of like ghost, right? He likes to not draw a lot of attention. He likes things to be under the radar. And Trump puts everything all out there, right? And so I think even Putin might be getting a little tired of the crazy. Oh my. Okay, so this is it. It's good. It looks like what we're going to get this coming week is more volatility from Trump, more information coming out about his finances, about money, about his taxes. He's not going to get the answers he wants out of the courts. I don't know if there's any court decisions that are going to come down this week or next week, but definitely feels like he's not exactly going to get the answers that he wants. So for those of you, I don't read reversals, but I literally read every one of these as if they were reversed, okay? So out of control emotions, information coming out about where his money comes from, the law not supporting him, and him losing his strength, him literally kind of becoming, weakened. And I have my card here for Harris, so that's interesting. I wonder if he's going to try to go after her again. It's not going to work. She's going to continue to gain strength and popularity as more and more people see her and get to know her. She's going to gain strength, and that's also going to just make him crazy, okay? And it's really interesting because this Temperance card right? Normally, the Temperance card is about, balance. It's about, you know, temperance, right? Calmness, a balance. I'm reading this card literally almost like karma is coming to get him. He's starting to feel karma in his day-to-day world. And the Chariot sitting next to Temperance is telling me that karma is going to keep on keeping on. It's going to keep on rolling forward. Okay, so that is Trump this week. Very quickly, some housekeeping stuff. Before this video was released, I did release a Canadian political video, as COVID cases are again increasing here in Canada as the weather has gotten cold. This was anticipated and expected, and it has started to happen. So I'm going to take a look at Canada. For all of my new subscribers, thank you, thank you, thank you. Over the weekend, I moved beyond the 8,000th subscriber for this channel. So I am so delighted, and I thank each and every one of you for that. For my donors, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'd so appreciate it. And for anybody who is looking for a private reading, there is information in the box below. And I right now am booking kind of the last week of October and into into November. Okay, so if you're interested, check out the Canadian video. And that's all I know for right now. So until next time, take care, be well, and I'll see you really, really soon. Bye-bye.